Kenneth got to meet Booker T, Mick Foley, like privately.
Oh.
Hey guys, welcome back to UOKORNOT. I'm Adrian.
And I'm Amirul. Glad to have you guys join us on our never-ending pursuits to discover, uncover, and gather individuals from various different trades and give you guys and girls an advantageous insight into the career world.
Yeah. And a very big shout out to Skip for being our sponsor for this episode.
That's right. Skip is our
sugar mummy. Yeah. Our new sugar mummy. Okay, so today we have a very special guest. Two, in fact.
As you can see here.
Yeah, so a bit about them. So actually they have 11 years of experience in the wrestling industry, right? And then they participated and represented Singapore in the international shows and revived the local wrestling scene. Up and coming now, they're uprising in the local wrestling scene.
The latest addition to the wrestling scene here in Singapore.
Yes.
So spitting fire on the mic and tanking blows from their foes, give it up for Kenneth and Shah.
Thank you. Hi.
Yo, hi. Hi, Kenneth.
Thanks for having us here today. Yeah.
You see their personalities like this now, right?
Yeah.
On stage a bit different, no?
Yeah, because as a kid, I watched a lot of WWE.
Yes.
My favorite wrestlers would be like Rey Mysterio, John Cena. Then they all have like Booyaka 619 all. So what about you guys? What's your alter ego?
My alter ego, I think I'm better known as the Eurasian Dragon. My race, the Eurasian race. So I'm Portuguese Eurasian.
Oh.
Yeah, and then Dragon is the year I was born, following the zodiac. Yeah, then character-wise, I think my character is always evolving, man. So like for the past 10 years, first 10 years of my wrestling life, I was like a baby face, which is like a good guy character. But for the past 1 year, I've been a heel, which is like a bad guy character. So being a heel is a lot of fun. That's why I'm keeping like a mustache now. And you just have to like change up different aspects of your personality to get people to hate you. So I've changed up my ring style and all this. I am what I believe to be a very classic heel. So there's nothing flashy about what I do anymore. Localized things that I do that try to let people understand that I'm not a nice local wrestler. I'm like the worst representation of Singapore right now. And then this is why bringing me overseas also. And then eventually it resulted in some success because I'm the new Vietnam Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champion.
Nice.
Same thing. I went there a year ago and I was still a good guy. They cheer for me. I went back this time around. They all hated me. And then
It's like a persona lah.
Yeah. And like my arm is in a cast, right? So legitimate injury here. I fell at home through glass and I had deep 6 cm lacerations. But worse off, I still have a torn wrist tendon. I mean, it's been reconstructed lah, but it's still very still very what's the word tender at this moment. So the surgeon cleared me to compete 5 weeks ahead of time. By right, it's an 8 weeks recovery, but at the 3 week stage, he allowed me to go. He said that, you've been in the business for 11 years, you probably know what to do. And then true enough, I knew what to do and I came home as the new Vietnam Pro Wrestling.
As a wrestler, his pain tolerance confirm very high.
Correct.
I don't care, it's lacerations.
Actually, you know how he got injured? No? He got injured because he tried to save his wife.
Save his wife?
Save his wife?
He tried to save his wife.
Yeah. It's slippery floors and all at home.
That means your reaction very fast.
Yeah. But of course, in the end, at my expense, but it's okay. Like end of the day, you still rather be the one getting hurt than your family.
Correct.
That's why
happy wife, happy life.
That one really true father. Wow.
How did you get into the world of wrestling first?
I was like 11. Back then, it was 1999. So WWE or WWF back then, very popular. The Rock, Stone Cold era. And they also had WCW. We were talking about this before the camera show. So WCW was the main competitor at the time. So you had so much wrestling on TV, right? I mean, now also still got a lot of wrestling on TV, AEW and Japanese wrestling, UK wrestling. So I was just watching both the big companies and just really got into it. But I think it was because of The Rock. Yeah, no, it's not I think. I know it's because of The Rock that made me realize that, this is damn cool. This is what I want to do in my life.
No joke, The Rock really damn cool.
Yeah, it's basically just a really cool guy.
Really cool.
He was a heel, right?
He was heel at first, and he was a face and a heel, then face, then later on heel again. But I guess the best wrestlers can play heel and face both. You must be able to get everyone to support you, and you must also be able to get everyone to
I think that's also the reason why he succeeded as an actor also.
Yeah.
In the Hollywood scene.
Yeah.
Wow, really damn
You
solid.
need to be a good actor.
Yeah, really damn good.
Yeah.
I mean, his movies are quite incredulous sometimes. Some of the stunts he do in like Skyscraper, where he has no legs, but yet he's doing all this crazy shit. And then the San Andreas also, like, wow, some of the things he do. But then again, that's what got people like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone like famous as well.
Yeah.
It's the same
That's true.
thing, interestingly enough, I think I'm more of a fan of like John Cena and Dave Bautista's stuff in Hollywood, because I think it's a little bit more diverse and they do a bit more comedy, and it's that very awkward humor that I enjoy. Like the Peacemaker series, I enjoyed it a lot. Just awkward R-rated humor. That's my thing. That's partially our thing with Ring of Rebirth as well. But we'll get into the creative process stuff as we talk about, as we go along. WWE, I've seen them a few times when they came to Singapore.
Kenneth got to meet Bugatti Mick Foley like privately.
Oh.
Not like in a mall or with the fans, but he got into the room and meet Mick Foley, Bugatti.
Yeah,
Talk to
it's
them,
just some
casual thing.
There are some of the perks of being in a local wrestling scene. They will sometimes let you have these kind of openings to like have small dialogue with these
Nice.
people,
Oh,
these
that's
legends
nice.
and all
That's
that.
nice.
So that's quite interesting.
Meeting your heroes.
Yeah, meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you realize they're just like you actually. Just not very different from who you are, just much more successful and much more skilled. Or rather, they have just more opportunities and all that to fly.
But it wasn't easy, right, to start this wrestling organization in Singapore.
I think it's not easy, even when we were previously with Singapore Pro Wrestling, because we were there from the start, from the pioneer phase. So in a way, we've seen like the whole like rise of local wrestling and all the potholes and the hurdles that comes with it. And then like when we started one of our own, right? And there's this thing going around in the wrestling industry where they say, you be a pro wrestler already is like, is there something wrong with you, or you okay or not?
Exactly. You know,
But then, like, to be
Singapore.
to be a wrestling promoter, running your own wrestling company is like lagi more like you're like, something wrong, or even more like, why are you going to put money into like running your own wrestling company? It's so difficult. So like, I think every business person knows that demand and supply is basically the essence of business. I think if like we both decided to start a toothpaste company, we probably earn more money.
Got demand.
Yeah, got demand because everyone need to brush teeth, right? But wrestling company, not only is there so much to watch nowadays because streaming, and then you have like other popular sports like football, mixed martial arts, and all that. And this will take away a lot of the male viewership and all that. Yeah, and then on-demand viewing and all that, you just like, there's so much things that are fighting for your attention span or the amount of hours in a day that you're going to commit to entertainment for yourself. So for us as like pro wrestling promoters now, right, we need to figure out like how to like get people to leave their house and then come to the venue to watch, or like even for them to click on our YouTube or to like watch our reels, that kind of thing. So it's not very different from other entertainment companies. It just happens to be our medium of entertainment is pro wrestling.
A bit more niche.
To do what you guys do, you really need a lot of passion, especially the engine room,
really.
you know?
Yeah.
Because
of
it's
course.
like taking up your side time. Like, how do you motivate yourself to keep doing this?
Wow.
This is all about the business. What I'm doing for is for the business.
I think you must always remember why you started. It's an often used line. But when you remember why you started and all that, then I think that's where your motivation comes from. Because it's very easy to get lost along the way.
Things already started, why are you going to finish it?
See through.
That's correct.
You cannot just like leave it hanging like that. Then like now, see, for example, like I'm a dad. It's very similar to running a business. Okay, not really, but something similar parallels. Because if you don't like feed your child, the child will die. That's like, that's one
That's
thing.
like the most straightforward example.
That's one thing I've learned about being a dad.
Your family,
if the baby cry, then you never give the milk on time.
That's it already.
Then the
Don't
baby
taste
will
already.
die. So like imagine like people always say your company is your baby and all that. And how true is that, man? You got to clothe the baby, you got to like wash the baby.
We need supplement the finance.
There's problems with it, you got to see the doctor and like rectify. So it's the same thing like for us also. It's like really you're just pumping money into like some child or little monster that you're trying to hope will grow to become a big monster.
True. Wow,
We hope
really.
that monster grows big soon.
All the
Of
entrepreneurs.
course.
Hopefully.
Very true. So why do you guys want to start this thing?
So like forms of entertainment, right? Just like pro wrestling or different genres. I think the world is exposed to WWE's form of entertainment.
Right.
Singapore Pro Wrestling and GrappleMax, the other existing entities, they have different markets or different ways of producing their shows. And Shahrizad and myself, we have a different creative mind from what they were already doing. So GrappleMax is more Japanese influenced, and SPW is more modern day influence and all that.
Right.
But for both of us, we liked wrestling when it was in its classic days or in the very retro days, like I was saying, Steve Austin, The Rock.
Yeah.
You had like larger than life characters. People were fighting for a reason and all that. So that's our inspiration for starting Ring of Rebirth lah. We wanted to infuse that old school style where everyone had a character or everyone had a purpose for fighting, because nowadays, like pro wrestling shows, sometimes the way it's marketed, and you can go to any like show online and you can see like, oh, maybe like this guy A fights guy B, or why? Because this guy is the best in this part, this guy is the best in that part. Like every other like fight organization is doing that, and there's nothing wrong. Like I guess if people are watching, there's nothing wrong, but we just want to do things differently. Like if you trace back to one of our shows, like our wrestler Mr. Geylang, he say this match against one of the guys, if the guy lose, he must follow him to Geylang. But follow him to Geylang to do what? So
You don't say anything.
didn't say
about it.
anything.
It's all about in
it's your
your mind.
imagination to connect the dots. So he won the match. He brought the guy to Geylang. We filmed the thing and all that. We posted online. Up to people to think what he went to Geylang for. People commenting there, oh, maybe they watched Geylang United. Maybe they went to like go Geylang Bazaar. Like you never know. Why you all
Frog
thinking?
porridge or anything like
You
that.
never know. You never know. You see, so like there has to be reason. Then like one of my happiest things I produced was or we produced was the public caning match.
Public caning match.
Aroa Halloween last year, and the reason being the Halloween show, I didn't want to go with like the standard ghouls and ghosts kind of like approach. I wanted it to be like a very dark kind of like relatable kind of dark lah. So on that same show, I broke the comedian, the Jackie Ng, the comedian, his hand, by stepping on his hand on the steel chair and all that.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. Like
Yeah.
you actually bring like different kind of personalities onto your show as
Yeah,
well.
and then I do bad things to them.
But you really break his hand.
He went to see Dr. Jason Leong, and Dr. Jason Leong took one look and said,
doctor's name?
yeah, the Malaysian comedian. So he took one look and said, yeah, bro, it's definitely broken. So I will trust what the doctor says.
He went to Jackie's
Comedy show and I
and
attacked
he
him there.
broke the glass, so he said,
Yeah, I
Oh my
smashed the
God.
glass bottle. And then his birthday show, his comedy show, I put his face into the cake.
how long his birthday?
Yeah, on his birthday.
It's
So
like a
Hey, like fun, huh?
haunting nightmare.
no, so eventually he had the match with me lah. He and his girlfriend fought against me at the show we did with Dragon Gate in March, and then they lost lah, 2-on-1 match. In both of them at the same time. That was the worst way to spend your Valentine's. You lose to the guy antagonizing your life. But anyway, yeah, you're right lah. So we tried to do something different. You see. So like on that same Halloween show, we had a public caning match.
Right.
And why public caning? If you're like in your 30s, you all will remember that back then in school there was this thing called public caning. Of course now like people try not to like talk about it or act like it didn't exist, but I know it existed.
It existed.
Yeah,
So I purposely brought it back into the wrestling medium. The loser had to be publicly caned now with the Singapore cane. So it's just representation of who we are as a country, the not very nice things about us that we also bring to the fore.
The good old days, lah.
The good old days,
Yeah.
yeah.
Non-censored good old days.
Yeah, so we are reviving like the good old days, but in a modern context, because like some of our wrestlers in their early 20s were like, your school got caning. Wow, what's that? You know, they don't know.
It is surprising though.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
surprising.
Really, ah?
So,
I don't know lah, because it was normal back then
Yeah,
for
it was.
us.
yeah, it's very normal.
Oh yeah, you have to understand. Like our friend here is Gen Z.
Gen Z lah.
Nah, it's okay. It's okay. And it's
But,
good. It's good
but
to have-
I also got see public caning before.
Oh, still have?
Have.
Maybe now don't
It's
have.
not as much lah. It's not as much.
Yeah,
Maybe
but-
last time a lot more lah.
Oh, yeah.
Some every assembly.
Every assembly. It's like watching
Were you one of them?
it's like watching a live. It's a different form of live theatre lah. There's such a spectacle attached to it lah. The principal will come out, give a speach or cut a promo as they say in pro wrestling. Then the discipline master or the OM will come out with the cane and all that. Then you're like 1, 2, and then pop. Wow.
How was the early days like when you started? Do you have anything memorable to share with us?
What,
For Aror?
Aror. Or like for yourself personally, like, when you were growing as a wrestler.
Yeah, I mean he was there all along lah. It's just that we working different departments. lah.
Right.
So like I think the main thing is at the start, the Singapore audience like of course will be skeptical lah. Because oh sure not Singapore. They didn't know Singapore had wrestling, this kind of things. So there's a lot of teething and growing pains lah. And then for me also like learning a new sport in my early 20s and all that was of course very challenging because like I didn't have a sporting background.
Right.
Yeah, so a lot of physical, mental, emotional even challenges, because like you're just fighting an uphill battle lah. Everybody knows WWE. Everybody just at most watch WWE. So like for you to convince people to watch like local talent, and we know local sports, like unfortunately they are trying very hard to get more people into the venues.
Really?
So it's the same thing. A lot of our fans are fans from the other two federations also, but we also have our own unique fans, or people who like end up watching our product and they say that, hey, actually this is like nicer and all that. I'm not saying that we are better in any form. It's just a different kind of entertainment that appeals to people. Yeah. So a lot of it still boils down to numbers, to data, getting more numbers on your site, that.
Getting more people to come
More
and
people
support.
come, more ticket money, more like training school money and all that. Yeah.
Actually, quite curious, because we are in Singapore, then our parents, our family members also one thing, right?
Yeah.
What was their reaction when you said you wanted to do this?
I want to be a
wrestling?
wrestler.
Yeah,
I told them this since I was 11 already. So when
mentally prepare them lah.
mentally prepared, they're completely fine lah. They come to all my shows lah.
Oh,
Yeah, there's many aspects to it lah. So the physical conditioning is one. You need to like stay in shape. Ensure your cardio is not good just for like a standard run or like normal cardiovascular exercise, but this is like high tempo, high energy kind of stuff. You are doing like physical feats in one take, and it's just like for the live audience to see, and then like you mess up, like
that's it already.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it already.
Yeah, so you got to like really be on the ball, your response time, your reflexes, your strength, your like everything about you physically needs to be prepared lah. Mentally also it goes hand in hand with this, because there's so many things you need to remember and all that, like your ring positioning, what you want to do next, how you want to like get the audience to react to you in a certain way and all that. And then you're also trying to like dominate your opponent and all this kind of thing. So emotionally is very interesting, because like all this physical and mental exhaustion or input from a person will definitely the Venn diagrams are all connected. You'll play over into the emotional side as well, because you need to like stay sane throughout all this hard work.
True.
So since Ring of Rebirth is also the training school, right? Like we have like a couple of other coaches as well apart from me. So we train them mentally and physically, but sometimes if they have like emotional problems, they are also welcome to kind of talk to us. So like sometimes I tell my wife like, wow, I feel like I'm a
Father.
guidance counselor. That's a big difference from just working for a wrestling company or learning and wrestling under a wrestling company compared to running one yourself. Because running one ourselves, like, you're just wearing so many hats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there like many young wrestlers? Like
A lot.
A lot. Oh, there's a lot.
Is,
Most of our young
18.
guys are Gen
18
Z.
years old.
Yeah.
Oh,
What's the age range? Like 18 to
Yeah, what's the
40.
age?
40.
Our oldest guy is 40.
40?
Really?
39 39.
39.
He's like a
39.
dad.
And his gimmick, his character is a Grab driver.
Grab
The 40-year-old.
Yeah,
a
40
Grab delivery rider.
Oh.
He looks like one. He looks like this abang wearing the
from-
pouch at the front.
from Eurasian
Abang Grab.
I can imagine already.
Yeah. So he his name is Ahmad Arif lah. So he will come to the ring at the delivery bag. Then he'll deliver like snacks to you on the way to the ring.
Oh.
That's like the Hornswoggle.
Hornswoggle just hung out under the ring. He walked to the ring with the delivery bag lah.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So we make sure everyone is like as relatable or identifiable as possible lah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like almost like it gives these wrestlers like a sense of escapism from the real world.
Escapism is something that we talk about also. We say that pro wrestling is obviously escapism lah, for the fans and the wrestlers alike. Because the fans want to like shut out the real world and
Yeah.
come into this
Just
special universe.
let loose.
Yeah. And let loose, whatever lah, like go rowdy at shows or watch online and like enjoy the product. And our wrestlers also, I think like they just want to like channel this other part of them. You cannot channel anywhere else. Because like I can't walk into like Subway and like carry the title around and smash the
Eurasian
Subway
Dragon.
tray. like stuff a foot long down someone's mouth. Like in pro wrestling, you can break someone's hand, a comedian's hand, and you can get away with it and all that. So yeah, I think it's escapism all around lah for people. And sometimes in life, like you really do need the escapism because most people are like either working long hours or students studying for like some next exam, and the studies just never stop here in Singapore. Or the work never stops here in Singapore and all that. So like it's good to provide an avenue of entertainment to cheer people up lah, or engage them.
Mental well-being.
Yeah, mental health, man. Mental health is wealth, I guess.
Most of the current wrestlers, are they doing this full time or they are like?
Oh, nobody is doing this full time.
Okay.
Except for me in a sense, because I just left my previous job. So now I'm in between jobs, right? So technically I'm doing this full time now, but like everyone is like supplementing their income with
okay.
full-time work or part-time work or students, yeah. Yeah. So no one is really doing this full-time, except maybe for me, just for this period of time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it takes up more time than a full-time job. So like when I was at my previous occupation, and I'm always working in like either editorial or marketing or communication.
Oh, that was your previous job, right?
Okay.
That has been all my previous jobs. For the past,
Editorial and marketing.
depending on where I'm working lah. So
Right.
it takes up way more time than that, because that's like 9 to 6.
Yeah. Wah, rabak sia.
So you just like helping whatever company sell their stuff, or
Yeah.
you like writing stuff for advertisers or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
But this one is just round the clock, man. Like sometimes like hiccups happen at midnight. Like this guy cannot come, or that guy injured, or the cameraman last minute have to pull out for family reasons. He has to find another cameraman from where. So this kind of thing is not like Hornswoggle. You know where to find him under the window. It's not like you can snap figures or something.
This guy is a recurring theme now. It's a meme.
So you there's a lot of problem solving lah, that both of us have to see to on a not daily basis, but on a very frequent basis, because the company is still growing, and we are first time. This is like our first business or project, So yeah, there's a lot of teething pains.
Actually, I want to know, because you mentioned that you were working editorial and marketing before this, right?
Yeah.
Before doing the whole wrestling scene.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: how did you transition from that to the wrestling scene? Because I would think that some of the audiences, right, they will probably be like, "Oh, I'm working a full-time job, and then I'm now watching somebody who's like doing his own thing, and then enjoying his successes and stuff like. How do I get there?"
So basically, you gotta do it at the same time, like what he's doing, like what everyone else is doing. You just gotta
Hustle.
Yeah, and either that, or if you are like say one of the wrestling students, or you are just doing it recreationally, then it becomes like an expensive hobby for you, because wrestling is not cheap lah. Don't count the training fees. It's stuff like buying yourself the gear or if you want to train overseas or wrestle overseas, you still got to support yourself, because this is not backed by big sponsors just yet and all that, right? So a lot of it is coming out of it.
Your own pocket lah.
It's either an expensive hobby for you, or for us it's like seems like a silly business on paper, but we still commit to it, and we're still making something out of it lah. So yeah, it's like that lah. Yeah.
What was the most difficult time that you remember when you were trying to start this up?
I think our most challenging one was when we worked with Dragon Gate from Japan. So Dragon Gate in Japan is the number 2 promotion in Japan. In terms of live shows, so they have a lot of live shows. They got a huge roster. Obviously, a professionally run organization. It's a media organization, also. That's how they brand themselves.
Right.
But their main form of entertainment is wrestling. But they've got like a music department. They have this, that, clothing lines, blah blah blah. So working with them for the show in March, the Dragon Gate in Singapore show in March, it was a 2-day event. So like previously we only do like short, like couple hours events, but this was like a 2-day event, and it's for our first time working with a major wrestling company. So we just saw like what we were lacking in, and what kind of expectations were needed of us to do a show of like that level with a company this big and all that. So it was quite an uphill challenge for us lah. And especially you are promoting, like they may be big in Japan, but in Singapore, like I say, mostly knows only WWE. So it was a challenge for us to like, how are we going to market them in Singapore? How are we going to like make a show that is cohesive with Singapore? Because it was meant to be like, the unofficial tagline for the show was like, it's a cultural exchange between Japan and Singapore through wrestling. So there's all these avenues of like, or different angles we had to work towards to ensure like a smooth weekend of pro wrestling featuring Japanese and Singapore talent. So yeah, that was difficult, but it also helped us level up quite a bit, I would say lah. It made us open our eyes to what is required of running shows of that level and all this.
Actually, I got a question for sure. What is the creative process like when you want to form up the shows, because I would think when you want to create content, right, you need to create content a month in advance, probably, right? Yeah. So like, how do you plan all that?
We do not plan.
Around
Sometimes
the clock,
2
2
3 a.m. where we got the idea, cannot
impromptu
we
all
just
lah.
pitch the idea,
And then we will talk about it. Yeah.
or we will just sit at the coffee shop and
Usually it
just
just
think
comes
about
to
something
us,
and just come to mind and say,
Then
"Hey, can we do this?"
Yeah.
Hmm.
Then we will call or message each other, and then we will talk about it. We will laugh about it. Play the
And
idea.
you already think it's gonna be funny or it's gonna be a good idea.
If it's gonna
Just
be
back only
lousy,
lah. Just back only.
So it really like it just comes to us lah. And then like we have obviously now with our previously we taped small episodes at the studio, the dojo studio and all that. We're still gonna keep taping there for the time being. Like we have our large scale events which we'll do like maybe a couple times a year. But these taping shows are serving as student showcases. So that's why our students showcase their stuff, get them some ring time. But we also have like the main characters having like their narrative push forward and all that.
And recently, I think last few weeks we had this ambition shoot. We never done before, so you only take one take.
It was 1 week ago exactly.
One
Yeah, 1
take
week ago.
Exactly
Only
1
one
week
take
ago.
because it's on the road.
There's a single take from one
Oh.
car filming me in another car on the road. So yeah, so we've never done this.
And we the plot is we're supposed to go over the skyline of Singapore. So
Right.
if we miss that shot, that's it.
Yeah, we have to like drive all the way back and then go up there.
And you know ECP how you want to U-turn.
40 minutes. Hey, let's talk about that. Your recent Vietnam show.
Sure. Vietnam Pro Wrestling and me go way back lah. I know their coach and their head, their promoter. So they've come to Singapore to learn from me previously when I was in SPW. They've also come to wrestle me when I was in SPW. I beat them. And then eventually when the pandemic cleared up, they opened a path for Ring of Rebirth to have this talent exchange thing. So we feature on their shows and eventually they'll feature on our shows as well.
Right.
So I went there last year, unsuccessfully challenged for the singles championship. Went back again this year for the tag team championship. Obviously successful, like what I said at the start. So I'll have to go back to Vietnam to defend this belt. But for now, we can also defend these titles in Singapore. So I guess to segue to the next thing, like we're talking about our studio showcases, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so ROR Wrestling Episode 1, we already announced this on Friday, but that Friday, what we taped for Friday's like press conference thing will be probably promoted before this goes up online. So it's no problem saying this now. The main event of that first show will be of ROR Wrestling Episode 1 will be the Vietnam Pro Wrestling Tag Team Championship. So me and my partner BGJ will defend the championships against your old friend Brother Bai and
Okay.
our outstanding young star, 18-year-old Varun Khanna. He's 18, but he's already 2 meters and 120 kilos.
Ha!
Yeah.
2 meters tall.
Yeah.
Sounds like you went through rigorous training, man.
Not just rigorous growing. But he is not just trained in ROR, but he's also trained in Holland, Pro Wrestling Holland. Because he studies there. But he's back now for national service, so this is like a little like enlistment gift for him.
You have very interesting collection of people.
Oh, we do. Yeah.
Wow, he's 2 meters tall.
Yeah.
With all these shows, right? Do you have like a dream venue?
Yeah, I mean, both of us were talking
Dream.
about it on the way up.
Indoor stadium.
Indoor
lah.
stadium,
Indoor stadium.
National
So-
Stadium, that's a dream, right?
Yeah.
Like,
So far, right, what was the largest audience number you guys had in the show?
Night Fest. SPW Night Fest.
the
2000.
Singapore Pro Wrestling one, yeah, Night Fest. But that one wasn't ticketed. That was at the Night Festival, the Arts Festival.
But everyone gathered around the ring.
Yeah, so many people came to watch. Yeah, so that wasn't ticketed. But ticketed, I would say maybe Singapore Pro Wrestling, they had
700.
about 700
That's actually
people
quite a lot also.
Yeah, yeah.
when Kenny Omega, the former AEW World Champion, was over. And when Pete Dunne, the former WWE UK Champion, was over. So like when you have big name guys, then like sometimes it sells.
It does like that's the show, right?
Yeah.
Like currently for us, like our biggest names to feature for us was like the Dragon Gate guys. But we are hoping to finalize some talks in time to come, and then we'll message you guys and say, oh, we got this guy coming in, right? But right now we are still formulating some plans for that to happen for us at Ring of Rebirth lah. Because for us so far it's like students and some local wrestlers from our side and from the other two promotions as well, and some regional wrestlers who are like on the similar level with us. But we also want to like do something bigger scale eventually.
How has wrestling evolved over the years in Singapore?
Yeah, so it started like really small group in Singapore Pro Wrestling. Now there's a second company, GrappleMax. GrappleMax and Singapore Pro Wrestling, they have healthy amount of students, healthy amount of fans for their show. And for us, like our student pool is slightly growing every month. And shows wise, we just have that luxury of being experimental for our first few shows, because like we are new, right? And we know that there will be a certain amount of people that will watch. And then if we are experimental for the time being, some people may choose to stay, some people may think, okay, like not worth their time. So everything they're doing on Facebook, but then now like everyone is
Now
on
it's
like Facebook,
TikTok, Instagram, like it's widely used for everyone.
Hey, you should see their TikTok quite entertaining.
It's a boomer TikTok. So.
We honestly run our TikTok like a boomer TikTok. So we just archive all our Instagram stuff. Like,
It's a boomer TikTok.
for the youths out there who are aspiring to be wrestlers, right?
Yeah.
What can they expect when they become one? And how do they get started?
Well, how you can start is actually you can DM us lah. You can DM Ring of Rebirth on Instagram. That's where we get most of our potential students. And then you can enroll in our training school. We have our first 2 classes free for everybody across the board. So this first 2 classes is for you to discern for yourself how our training is like, what our culture is like, whether this is for you, because like different wrestling companies got different wrestling cultures. Then the process from becoming a student to an actual pro wrestler is pretty long and winding the road. There's a lot of challenges that will come your way. You have to have this paradigm shift, right? That you're no longer a fanboy and now you are actually
Part of it.
you're part of the industry and you're going to be performing for fanboys. So from becoming a fanboy to becoming a product for fanboys to enjoy. There's a lot of lifestyle changes you're going to have. You're going to find yourself like training more often, not just in the ring-iverse, but outside of the ring, we expect you to go to the gym. We expect you to like, do other things to build up your fitness and your strength. It's going to be a lot of stress on you, on your body, on your mind, on your spirit, if you believe in spirit, on your emotions as well. So you have to manage your expectations very well because not everyone is going to become Roman Reigns or John Cena or Hulk. Most of the time, you're just going to be another cog in the machine. You won't be someone that's dictating like the flow of things and all that. Because end of the day, like as promoters, we dictate the flow of things. And then you have to learn how to play well in a team or play well with other teams as well, especially if you reach my level where you're going abroad to do it.
Right.
You're going to work with different genres of wrestling, different bosses and all that. And everyone will have their own like mindset. So it's how you like also chameleon yourself into different forms of entertainment is expected of you.
It's really like a lifestyle, basically. If you choose wrestling, it's a lifestyle already.
Yeah, that's why every time we promote it on our Instagram and all that, our Instagram stories, we always will say like DM us to begin your wrestling life. Other schools will say like, oh, DM us for your trial or to try. But we always say to begin your wrestling life because we don't want people to think that like that this is just for fun and all that. Because we take it very seriously. So if you're going to be here not for recreation, we expect you to take it very seriously. Also.
Usually, what kind of students they will excel in this?
This one is it's quite a mixed bag, man. Because I think it doesn't really matter where you come from, but it matters where you're going to and the journey that you take to reach there. Because I say if you're going to gun for the top, right, then your life has to accommodate gunning for the top. Our old friend Dante Chen, who's now in WWE, former SPW wrestler, he obviously changed his entire lifestyle. When we knew him, he was a 16-year-old boy, like very chill dude with his friends, likes video games, but now he's just so dedicated that he's reached the top.
So about the mindset.
Yeah, so there's already good examples out there and all that. There are some local wrestlers who have like toured Japan or have done regional shows or been to America and all that. So you just got to see from these examples, what did these guys do? What can I emulate from them? And how can I set myself apart from them? A lot of thinking like what we were talking about earlier, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. thoughts will just come to you and then you have to see whether you can implement or not.
The guys who are currently in your team, right? Like how did ROR help them with their, because you have a bunch of interesting guys.
Oh yeah, we do.
Right?
Yeah.
So quite interesting. You guys should check it out.
Yeah.
So how does Ring of Rebirth affect their lives positively?
Like you guys are stationed here in Scape, and if you just walk out pre-renovation and you walk past any of the dance studios and all that, you see like a collection of people. But these are the lifeblood of the entertainment industry, right? And then it's very strange, but at the same time very daring people because they're stepping outside of their comfort zones. They are expressing themselves, and at the same time they are all damn mad. It is what it is. So
They have to be mad.
You have to be mad. So in Ring of Rebirth, we have a bunch of mad fellas here. And like I myself also mad fella, he also mad fella. but at the same time, we have to be like the mad fathers or the mad uncles that guide the way and set good examples and to like steer the ship and all that. It's about channeling that madness. There's a method to madness, right? So like really it's about finding where you want to throw your madness and for a good cause. Don't like go mad and rob a bank. Go mad and become a pro wrestler instead. I think it's much more
More meaningful.
Maybe earn a bit of money on the side for me,
Ultimately, they all find a place to belong, a place to call home, to express themselves.
I think sense of belonging is important. So there's already 2 other wrestling companies before us, right? I'm sure they've done a good job promoting their own sense of belonging. So we are also just doing the same thing for ourselves and for our guys. We are very protective of our guys. We also try to nurture them to be responsible and entertaining madman. At the moment.
Oh, I say at least make me want to become a wrestler.
You want to be a wrestler?
I go sign up, I go DM already.
You represent UOKORNOT.
Yeah. So, speaking of DMing Ring of Rebirth, we are quite responsive over all the social networks. Like I said, our only maybe shortcoming is the email. The one I'll make it a point, now that I mention it, I'll make it a point to check the email more often. But every time I check also, everyone's just DMing the social media sites. But anyway, if you also go to @Ring of Rebirth on Instagram or Ring of Rebirth page on Facebook, the Instagram is a link to our Facebook, so it's the same post. Or you go type Ring of Rebirth into YouTube. Where else are we on? We're on TikTok also. But our TikTok is a boomer TikTok. It's fine because it's run by boomers anyway. It's just so you can watch our stuff or you can see our upcoming announcements and all that. Like earlier I've announced we're gonna start producing our studio shows under a proper name, Ring of Rebirth Wrestling. And then that will be our main narrative going forward, apart from bigger shows to come in future. And I'm not sure when this is going to go up online, but if this is going up before the Anime Festival Asia in late July, July 23rd, please head over to Lady Beard's concert, because Lady Beard is not safe from the Eurasian Dragon during his concert. But if this is happening after Lady Beard's concert, if this goes up after that, I think you can go to Lady Beard's Instagram and see the bloody mess I left him in. Depending on the timeline when this is being uploaded. But 23rd July, you can catch Lady Beard's concert because there's a very special uninvited guest that's going to turn up. If this is going up in July, please catch the debut of ROR Wrestling. We will be putting that up sometime in July. We're going to record it in front of a studio audience. The two of y'all, please contact us for media passes. But everyone else, you have to DM us for tickets because it's a business, not a charity.
Yeah, it's a business.
The Eurasian Dragon jumped out.
Yeah, I've got a baby daughter to feed and all that. Speaking of baby daughters to feed, right? My wife and I just opened our own side dessert business. Because my wife is a world-class pastry chef. No kidding, really.
Really
legit world-class pastry chef. But she's local Yeah, but she's very low-key also. So how we are doing our dessert business, it's called @Brownie Suplex, BROWNIESUPLEX. So Brownie Suplex is what we are doing. We are creating cakes, brownie cookies, brownies and all that. It's also quite funny because if I'm suplexing someone, it looks like a brownie suplex also.
So combine.
Yeah. So she's the engine room of that one. She's also not the public. She's not in the foreground, but I'm the one promoting all the brownies. So if you are ever in need of treating yourself, please DM @Brownie Suplex on Instagram or on Facebook, and then we will prepare some nice brownies for you. I'm so sorry the two of y'all, our brownies that we had at our ROR birthday party just 2 days ago, all finished. The guests ate it, all the wrestlers.
That's how good it is.
This is still about Ring of Rebirth. Support the exploits of me and Sharizad. Is our hard work, and it's everyone else's hard work. Our students who have transitioned to wrestlers, our students who are still students, our media team. Everyone is taking time away from their daily lives and their jobs and their families to put together a product that's out to entertain you. So the best way to repay us is if you're interested like yourself, you can come and be a student with us and pay us training fees, because that training fees will go into production money. And if you're interested as a fan, come and watch our shows, either our small tapes studio shows, or come and watch
live shows,
our larger live events. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How often are these live events?
Okay, so currently we are following like most wrestling companies, you have small show, then big event. So we are not WWE. So WWE does it once a month, right? And then you have their Raw and SmackDown every week to tell the story. So ours is we're going to just have ROR Wrestling. And earlier in the year, we already had Dragon Gate day 1 and day 2 in Singapore. So that was 2 days, 2 events. The next one is going to be in November for us, but not with Dragon Gate, but with a different company, yet to be announced. This is going up in July, so it won't be announced by then. So I'm embargoed by myself as the boss of the company to not say who, but stay tuned to all our socials and to all our stuff. You can also follow me on Instagram @Eurasian Dragon. Don't forget to also follow Brownie Suplex and Ring of Rebirth. Yeah, so there's many things that you guys need to do as viewers to support our
They are part of the show. The audience is part of the show.
Yeah. And the best way to engage apart from watching is of course buying the product. So buy tickets, buy brownies, and support your local wrestling.
Must support.
Definitely must.
Must support.
So if you guys want a life change, right, to be a wrestler, DM,
Just DM, just
ROR.
Yeah.
Hence Ring of Rebirth, right? Because
Yeah.
you'll be rebirthed into a wrestler.
Yeah. It's a lot like the Matrix where they unplug themselves. Then you realize, so this is the wrestling.
And don't be afraid to approach them. They're actually very friendly. They're actually very friendly.
very friendly,
They're
lah.
very friendly.
I mean, we might be hard selling you now because that's what we want our business to grow.
We're
Yeah.
totally not being suplexed later just to push this out.
Even though that's a very good table, the kind of table like Dudley boys are like, but they're not being suplexed, so they're not being coerced or strong armed into anything. Yeah.
All right, guys, we have come to the end of the show. Thank you so much, Kenneth, and thank you so much,
Thank
Shah,
you.
for making your way down here. We totally enjoyed the podcast
really.
today. Like, I never knew about the local wrestling scene until
really,
today.
eye opener. Really learn a lot.
Thanks for allowing us to educate your. Yeah.
Hey,
Thanks, no problem. They appreciate it also.
Yeah.
You guys say
I'm
thank
sure
you.
So remember, follow their Instagram, follow their Facebook,
YouTube,
TikTok.
watch YouTube,
Yeah, stay
yeah,
updated
everything.
to all the updates.
Yeah.
Yeah. We would like to also thank Scape once again for
thank you,
being
Scape.
our
For
sugar mummy.
sponsoring us, for making this happen.
Yeah,
for making this
I
happen.
wrestled at Skate before 10 years ago. 10 years ago. The Skate Sports Fiesta. More than 10 years
because
ago.
it's the early stage of
Of Singapore Pro Wrestling. So you never know whether in the future Ring of Rebirth may come back to Skate.
Maybe.
Maybe. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
We're going to end it on a cliffhanger.
Skate, the DM Ring of Rebirth as well. I'm sitting in you right now, Skate.
I'm in you.
Okay, that sounds a bit rated. Yeah, we are in you right now.
I hope they don't cut this out. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.